The morning at the grand corporate headquarters started like any other polished floors, quiet hallways, and the sound of heels clicking against marble. But everything changed in an instant when the Billionaire CEO, Alina Roberts, stormed out of her office in rage. Her young son Daniel had been found crying near the company's daycare room, and the only person seen near him was Henry, the elderly janitor who had worked there for over 20 years. Without waiting for an explanation, Alina's voice echoed through the halls as she fired him on the spot, calling security to escort him out. The staff watched in stunned silence. Unsure of what had just happened, Henry tried to explain, his voice trembling, saying he only wanted to help Daniel who had fallen, but no one believed him. To the powerful CEO, it seemed like betrayal. Someone she trusted near her child had crossed a line. But as the day went on, and Daniel's condition suddenly worsened, Alina was forced to rush him to the hospital. The doctors ordered an MRI, hoping to understand what caused the pain in his head. When the results appeared on the screen, Alina's heart froze. The truth that came out wasn't what anyone expected. It wasn't just about her son's health, but about what really happened that morning. And in that single moment, Alina realized she might have destroyed the life of the one man who had actually saved her child. Alina sat in the hospital waiting room, her fingers trembling as she replayed the morning over and over in her head. The image of Henry's shocked face when she fired him wouldn't leave her mind. He had always been quiet, humble, and hard-working, someone who greeted everyone with a gentle smile no matter how busy the day was. He had worked at the company long before she became CEO. Still, in that moment of fear for her son, she hadn't stopped to think. She had only reacted. Across town, Henry sat on a park bench, clutching his small bag of cleaning supplies, the only things he'd managed to take before security escorted him out. He couldn't understand why the woman he had once helped during her early days at the company had turned against him so quickly. All he had done was rush to help the little boy when he fell near the stairs. But in a world where one accusation could destroy a life, his words meant nothing. Back at the hospital, the doctor walked out, holding the MRI results tightly. He looked serious, asking Alina if her son had recently suffered a fall or a strong hit to the head. Confused and scared, Alina said no, but her mind started to race. Something wasn't adding up. As she glanced through the hospital window, she saw a familiar figure outside Henry, standing quietly near the gate. For the first time, doubt began to creep into her heart, whispering that she might have made a terrible mistake. Alina couldn't sleep that night. The doctor's words kept echoing in her mind. Daniel's injury wasn't new. It looked like something that had been building up for days. But how was that possible? She had been with her son almost every evening. Guilt and confusion tangled in her thoughts as she sat by his hospital bed, watching him sleep. The monitors beeped softly, reminding her of how fragile life could be, no matter how much money or power she had. Meanwhile, Henry sat in his small apartment, staring at the framed photo of his late wife on the wall. He whispered softly, "I didn't do anything wrong, Mary." He had spent his life working honestly, cleaning floors others walked on without noticing him. But now, the same people who once smiled at him avoided his eyes. Even his landlord had started asking questions. Yet Henry couldn't bring himself to hate Alina. He had seen the fear in her eyes that morning. A mother's instinct, he told himself, could make anyone act without thinking. Back at the hospital, Elena's assistant, Maya, arrived with CCTV footage from the company hallway. She said quietly, "Ma'am, I think you should see this." Elena hesitated, her heart racing. The video showed the exact moment Henry bent down to lift Daniel, but, just as he did, Daniel slipped, hitting his head lightly on a metal bar near the stairs. Henry looked panicked, trying to comfort him. Elena's breath caught. It was different from what she remembered. Someone else must have been there that morning. Elena's hands trembled as she replayed the video again and again. Each frame showed Henry's worried face, not guilt or fear, but genuine concern. Her heart pounded harder with every second. But something strange caught her eye in the corner of the footage, a shadow passing by just before Daniel slipped. It was brief, almost hidden, but it was there. She paused the video, zooming in. The outline looked like someone wearing a staff uniform, but the camera angle didn't reveal a face. Maya frowned. "There were only a few people on that floor this morning," she said, "mostly maintenance and daycare staff." Elena's chest tightened. If someone else had been there, maybe Henry wasn't the one at fault after all. Back at his apartment, Henry received a call from the hospital. It was Maya asking him to come in. His heart raced with both fear and hope. He had spent his life staying out of trouble, and now, after losing his job and dignity, this call felt like a last chance to be heard. He quickly put on his worn jacket and headed out into the cold night. At the hospital, Daniel suddenly woke up crying, clutching his head and whispering, "Mom." It wasn't Mr. Henry. It was the man who fixed the lights. Alina froze. That same maintenance worker had been hired only a week ago. She felt the air leave her lungs. The truth was right there, on the edge of being uncovered, and it was nothing like she had imagined. Elena's mind went blank for a moment as Daniel's weak voice echoed in her ears. The man who fixed the lights. Her thoughts raced. She remembered signing off on a new maintenance contract last week, but she had never met the worker personally. Maya immediately began searching the company's employee list on her tablet, but when she typed in the man's name, her face went pale. "Ma'am," she said softly. There's no one by that name in the system. The ID he used wasn't even issued by our company. A cold shiver ran down Elena's spine. If that man wasn't Staff, then who was he on? What had he been doing near her son? Panic surged as she realized how easily someone had slipped into her building without anyone noticing. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about a misunderstanding. It was about a possible setup. Someone wanted, Henry blamed. Someone wanted to hurt her or her family. As Maya made calls to security, Elena noticed something else strange in the footage. The shadowed man had walked straight into her private office minutes before Daniel was found crying. Her stomach twisted. What if the fall hadn't been an accident? Meanwhile, Henry, on his way to the hospital, passed by the same building. Through the glass doors, he saw security guards running toward the elevators. Something was happening inside. Without thinking, he followed, unaware that the same mystery man was standing at the far end of the corridor, watching everything unfold, a faint smirk hidden beneath his cap. Elena rushed back to the company building with Maya and 2 security officers. Her heart pounded as they checked the surveillance room again, this time pulling footage from every camera in the lobby and upper floors. Then, finally, they saw him, the fake maintenance worker, entering her office, carrying a small bag. Moments later, he walked out, his face briefly visible under the camera light. Elena froze. It was her former project manager, Alex, the man she had fired months ago for embezzlement. He had vowed revenge, and now she understood everything. At that very moment, Henry arrived, breathless and confused. When he saw Elena, he tried to apologize again, but she stopped him with tears in her eyes. No, Henry, she whispered. I owe you the apology. Before she could explain further, an alarm blared through the building. Maya looked at the monitors and gasped. Alex was still inside, near the electrical control room. Security rushed to intercept him, but a spark suddenly burst from the main panel, and smoke filled the hallways. Without thinking, Henry dashed forward, covering his face with a rag and pulling the lever to shut down the system. The lights flickered off, and the fire died before spreading. When the smoke cleared, Alex was caught, trying to escape through a side door.